In the headlines, CBN Governor Emefiele finally meets reps, says banks will accept old Naira notes after deadline. INEC signs third MOU with transport unions on movement of election materials. Victims of Nasarawa airstrike call for investigation into unmask those behind Dastardly Act. And on the foreign scene, Liberia President George Weah to seek a second term. Hello and welcome to Trust TV News Update. I am Ibrahim Yusuf. Hello and welcome once again. The CBN Governor, Godwin Emefiele, on Tuesday met with the House of Representatives Ad Hoc Committee on the new currency policy. The House had invited the CBN Governor over the crisis caused by the new Naira notes. The committee, headed by the House Leader Alhassan Ado Dogwa, was set up to liaise with the CBN and commercial banks on the implementation of the policy. It had earlier invited Emefiele to speak on the issue and called for an extension on the January 31st deadline before the date was announced. Emefiele had earlier informed the committee that his inability to appear it was not intended to undermine the committee or the House, stating that he was away on official leave, while on the other, he was part of the presidential delegation to Dakar, Senegal.
More than 2.7 trillion naira were outside the banking system. More than 2.7 trillion naira is held in people's homes. What that does is that it makes our mandate of monetary policy very difficult. When we are not in control, out of 3.23 trillion, what we see only in the banking system is just about 500 billion. There is no how our work, which you, the lawmakers, has made a law for us to carry out. Our work cannot be effective.
Meanwhile, the district head of Ture in Kaltungo local government area of Gombe State has urged commercial banks to make the newly redesigned Naira notes available to save Nigerians from further hardship. The district head, Mr. Habila Garba, said he received complaints from his people over the non-availability of the redesigned notes. The monarch said this when he received CBN monitoring team who were at the community to ensure compliance of the cash swap program. Some residents also shared different experiences in coping and accessing the new Naira notes.
It's a welcome idea, and I hope that the authorities concerned, including you people coming here, will ensure that these new notes are going to be available at the point of disbursement, like the POS, like the banks that we have here in Kaltungo, and the microfinance banks. You go there, they give you old notes. People are disappointed, but it is not yet expired, so we have to collect them and use them. But they are being recycled all the time, and this is the frustration.
I feel very happy because in the few days ago, we even take the old note to the bank for change when we didn't even get the opportunity to change that money. So definitely we feel happy as the money has come to the village or the rural area where we can be able to get the change very easy.
I will sell like 300,000, 400,000. But for now, things are not like that. Things are very difficult and it's very hard. Today, I didn't do anything. Even 10,000, I didn't make it. So this thing, to me, is hard. So I don't know how to put it.
Suspected members of the Islamic State of West Africa province have distributed huge amounts of old notes to scores of commuters in the Lake Chad Basin ahead of the deadline of the Central Bank of Nigeria's cashless policy. Trust TV gathered that the incident occurred after Mairari village along the Maiduguri-Monguno highway on Saturday in Guzamala local government area of Borno State. A resident, Bakura Ibrahim, said the insurgents positioned themselves under a tree and stood by the roadside with bags of old Naira notes. Reports say the ISWAP members were dressed in military camouflage and drove 2 gun trucks during the distribution exercise. And 4 persons, including a point-of-sale operator, have been hospitalized with gunshot wounds after armed robbers attacked them at a POS terminal in Zaki local government area of Bauchi State. The armed men were said to have taken advantage of the rush by residents on Friday night to meet up with the initial deadline for cash swap of the January 31st, just before the extension. The victims are said to be receiving treatment at the Federal Medical Center, Azari, Bauchi State. Governor Bala Muhammad visited the victims in the hospital, where he sympathized with them. The Commissioner of Police in the state, Aminu Al-Hassan, also noted that an arrest had been made. And ahead of the February elections, the Independent National Electoral Commission, INEC, on Tuesday, signed a 3rd Memorandum of Understanding with the National Union of Road Transport Workers, the Maritime Workers Union of Nigeria, and the Nigeria Association of Road Transport Owners on the movement of election materials. Noel Sampson reports that the Commission is also planning a sensitization program for members of the unions before the election. Let's take a look.
This is the 3rd MOU INEC will sign with the 3 transportation unions. INEC Chairman Professor Mahmoud Yakubu stressed the need for the sensitization program for the members of the unions, which he said is an important part of the elections process.
The issue of logistics has been a perennial problem in election administration in Nigeria. That is why for 3 electoral cycles, INEC has collaborated with the road transport unions to address the problem. For the 2023 general election, the Commission has included the Marine Workers Union of Nigeria for efficient maritime transportation. The time has come to stop all excuses and provide effective logistics to ensure hitch-free arrangement for the 2023 general elections.
The NURTW president reassured the Commission of the union's readiness for the elections, promising not to disappoint them.
And I'm assuring the national chairman of INEC today that by the grace of God, we are going to charge this duty as we give to us. And I always promise you, by the grace of God and support our members across states, we will not disappoint Nigerians. Once again, you are welcome to the Ministry of National Union Transport Workers. Thank you.
Meanwhile, the Federal Road Safety Corps, FRSC, promised to do its best in making sure that the vehicles meant for the electoral logistics are registered and roadworthy.
All vehicles inspected and certified will receive a tag from FRSC for proper identification that it has met minimum safety standard. The Corps Marshal is hereby calling on all union leaders to inform their members to follow due process and cooperate with members of the Corps. The Corps Transport Safety Office of the Corps has the review template of the checklist approved.
The Commission is confident of conducting a free, fair, peaceful, and credible elections. Noel Sampson, Trust TV News, Abuja.
And to politics now, where the presidential candidate of the New Nigeria People's Party, Rabiu Kwankwaso, has described the party as the one that has the magic wand to turn around the fortunes of the country from its present challenges. Kwankwaso stated this at Kayama during the campaign tour of the senatorial candidate of the party in Kwara North Senatorial District, where the senatorial candidate also says he believes the people will vote for credible candidates and not for political parties. The report.
Despite waiting for hours to receive presidential candidate of NNPP, Rabiu Kwankwaso, which was delayed due to bad road network, the people of Kayama trooped out to welcome him to the palace of the Emir of Kayama. After informing the Emir of his promise to fix the major roads in the area if elected, the Emir prayed for his success in the next month's election. The NNPP presidential candidate laments various challenges affecting the country and assured that the party will return the lost glory of the country, especially in the area of security.
And we brought peace, don't forget, when I was Minister of Defense, to Sierra Leone, to Liberia, and Darfur. That time we were not even talking of internal security. Now we cannot even protect ourselves. Many of our citizens now are in IDPs, some are in hospitals, some are even in graves, being killed by bandits, terrorists, and other criminals. So by the grace of God, there will be unity in this country.
The senatorial candidate for Kwara North said the next election is one that the people will need to vote for integrity and focused candidate instead of political parties.
You see, we are not talking of parties this time around. We are talking people behind these parties. I don't see myself contesting with any other party, other candidate, because I know my people knows me very well. And I'm popular within my people. So if I'm popular within my people, we shouldn't talk of party.
The state chairman of the party, Abdulrazak Abdul Salam, believes old political parties have failed the people and assures that the NNPP is the alternative for the electorate to feel the government's impact.
The installation that NNPP is a new party in Kwara State is more of a fallacy than reality. You understand? Because if you look at the strength and the way NNPP is moving within the rank and file of Kwara, you'll find out that is a content within NNPP and other parties.
Kwankwaso challenged politicians to always travel by road during their campaigns to enable them feel what the electorates are facing on a daily basis due to bad roads.
Victims of last week's airstrike in Duma local government area of Nasarawa State have attributed the incident to the anti-open grazing law in Benue State. In an interview with Trust TV in Lafia, the state capital, the victims called on the federal government to prevail on the Benue State government to repeal the law. Umar Mohammed sent in the report as presented from our studio.
Rukubi, a border community with Benue State, was last week thrown into confusion following the airstrike that killed over 40 Fulani pastoralists with several others injured. 60-year-old Alpha Bello, who lost 9 children during the airstrike after paying 6 million naira to the Benue State government to bail his cattle, wants the federal and Nasarawa State government to come to his aid, and also calls for a thorough investigation into the incident. I lost 9 children during the airstrike in Rukubi, Doma local government area of Nasarawa State after paying 6 million naira as fine to the Benue State government to retrieve my cows. I am appealing to both the federal and Nasarawa State government to come to my aid and other injured persons to enable them pay their medical bills. A relative of some of the airstrike victims, Usman Bawa and Ibrahim Hassan, who are currently receiving treatment at Aboki Clinic in Dalhatu Araf Specialist Hospital, Lafia, wondered why innocent persons were killed, urging government to take action against those behind the attack, and stressed the need for federal government to prevail on Benue State government to repeal the anti-open grazing law.
So when they were uploading them, not knowing what is going on, they have seen a little bit like an aeroplane or a jet or whatsoever it's called. Then before they know, they have seen all like a flash of light, not knowing that it is bomb blastering them, scattering all the cows and as well as those people who were there.
Also narrating their ordeal, Adamu Abdullahi, who fractured his left hand while scampering for safety, and Muhammadu Aliyu said they paid 1 million naira on each cow to Benue State government as fine. Abdullahi, who has 2 wives and 10 children, said they were offloading the cows when the airstrike happened, adding that many people and their cows were killed. I ran when I heard the blast, and in the process, I fell and dislocated my left hand. I am feeling severe pains in my chest, legs, and stomach. I am appealing to the federal government and state governments to please come to our aid. I am calling on both the federal and Nasarawa state governments to thoroughly investigate the circumstances that led to the massive killing of innocent people with a view to bringing those behind the attack to book to serve as a deterrent to others. The chairman, Doma Local Government Area of Nasarawa State, Architect Ahmed Sarki Usman, who acknowledged that several people are still missing, called for calm, saying the state government is on top of the situation.
You must ensure there is peace and tranquility in the state. And in doing that, you call those that are affected, commiserate with them, persuade them to see reasons why we should not fight each other. We should try and ensure that the law comes to bear. That's exactly what we're doing. And at the moment, I want to assure you that everywhere is calm by the grace of God.
At the time of filing this report, no one has claimed responsibility, but pastoralists have accused the Benue State Governor, Samuel Otom, of orchestrating the attack, an allegation he vehemently denies.
The management of the Nigeria Railway Corporation has resumed train services on the Kaduna-Abuja route 4 days after it suspended operations on the route. The first train departed from the Kaduna-based Rigasa train station to Abuja at exactly 7 a.m. on Tuesday morning with a few passengers. NRC on Friday suspended operations on the Kaduna-Abuja route following the derailment of an Abuja-bound train that occurred at Kubwa in the nation's Federal Capital Territory on the same day. Some of the passengers who expressed happiness with the resumption of train services said the suspension disrupted their activities for the few days it lasted. They, however, appealed to the management of NRC to put all the necessary measures in place to forestall future reoccurrence. Still with us on Trust TV News Update, still ahead. JAMB suspends CBT Center in Kwara for non-compliance to rules. Details of this and more after the break. Do stay with us.
Media Trust Group, in collaboration with the Center for Democracy and Development, presents the 2023 Kano gubernatorial debate featuring candidates of 4 major political parties: Nasir Yusuf Gawuna of the APC, Bashir Ishaq Bashir of the Labour Party, Abba Kabir Yusuf of the NMPP, and Muhammad Abacha of the PDP. Date: Saturday, 4th February 2023. Time: 10 a.m. Venue: Bayero University Kano New Site. The event is strictly by invitation and no political supporters are expected at the venue.
I will be there.
I will be there.
I will be there.
Media partners: Express Radio 90.3 FM, Nasara Radio 98.5 FM, Freedom Radio, and ARTV Kano. The debate will be broadcast live on Trust TV and other channels across the country.
Welcome back, and thanks for staying with us on Trust TV News Update. Now let's take another look at our top stories. CBN Governor Emefiele finally meets reps, says banks will accept old Naira notes after deadline. And INEC signs third MOU with transport unions on movement of election materials. Now moving on to other news. The Nigeria Center for Disease Control and Prevention has confirmed the death of 37 persons from Lassa fever in the first 3 weeks of 2023. According to the NCDC, for week 3, 18 deaths were recorded out of 137 confirmed cases in 37 local government areas of 14 states. In its Lassa fever situation report published on Tuesday, the center noted that the number of deaths represents 15.1% of the 244 confirmed cases in 16 states across 50 local government areas. The number of suspected cases increased compared to what was reported for the same period in 2022. Two new healthcare workers were affected in week 3. The Joint Admissions and Matriculations Board, JAMB, has warned CBT centres across the country to comply with its regulations ahead of the 2023 UTME exercise. JAMB Registrar Ishaq Oloyede, who gave the warning during an unscheduled inspection of some CBT centres in Ilorin, also announced the suspension of a centre in the city for non-compliance to rules. The report.
The unscheduled inspection started from the Uni Ilorin Mini Campus, where the JAMB Registrar, Professor Ishaq Oloyede, was once a Vice-Chancellor. The JAMB accredited computer-based test centres are located at the higher institutions and education institutes. The centres are already registering candidates for the upcoming Unified Tertiary Matriculations examinations.
The inspection is to ensure that the regulations, rules and regulations for registrations are complied with. So if we simply sit down in Abuja or at Abuja and they'll just say, oh, these are the rules, and we do not go to see what is going on, we may not know the reality. That's the purpose, to see the registration and to convince you to convince our people that we don't need to cut corners.
But the registrar is not satisfied with the unsatisfactory arrangement made by one accredited centres, and he immediately wields the big stick. Professor Ishaq also visited the Ilorin office of the examination body, which has now been upgraded to a zonal office annex.
We created a standalone that we call the Kwara, we call it zonal headquarters annex. Just as we now have 5 annexes now, or three annexes. We have one in Kaduna, we have one in Lagos, and this place being in the middle, we have one here. This annex will now stand on its own. And in order to ensure that we have the facility, that's why we approach the Kwara State government, who graciously extended this land for us and allowed the diversion of the road. You know, this is supposed to be a road, so they divert the road there so that our offices can be together.
The Joint Admission and Matriculation Board is body saddled with the responsibility of conducting examination for admissions into Nigeria's higher institution.
And the remains of a renowned Nigerian scientist and university administrator, Professor Ibrahim Khalil Umar, who died on Monday, has been laid to rest in Kano. Late Umar was Vice-Chancellor of Bayero University, Kano, and former Director of the Center for Energy Research and Training. Trust TV's correspondent Idris Jibran witnessed the funeral prayer at the Emir's Palace, Kano, and now reports.
Born on 20th May 1941 in Bichi local government area of Kano State, late Professor Ibrahim Khalil Umar holds a BSc in Physics and Mathematics from Ahmadu Bello University, Zaria, MSc in Physics from Northern Illinois University, USA, and PhD in Physics at the University of East Anglia, United Kingdom. In 1976, he became the first Nigerian academic in physics to teach at Bayero University, Kano.
We lost a father, we lost a scholar, we lost somebody that helped in building Bayero University, Kano. He held many positions within and outside Bayero University, Kano.
In 1978, he served on the International Constitutional Assembly that drafted the Constitution of the Second Republic. Between 1994 and 1997, Umar served as the sole administrator of the Federal University of Technology, Minna.
I knew him since, I think, 1968, when I was an HNC student at this Rumpa College. Even though he didn't teach me there, but I learned a lot from him. And gradually we built our relationship, largely because of our concern.
He represented Nigeria at the Executive Assembly of the World Energy Council from 1990. He was a member of the Nigerian delegation to the International Atomic Energy Agency General Conference from 1989 and was appointed Director General of the Energy Commission of Nigeria in 1989.
After his retirement, dedicated his life to the services of Islam. If you look around, you find out that a crop of the clerics in Kano are here. He has been a pillar in the establishment of the Ali bin Abi Talib Islamic Center, popularly known Dangi Roundabout. He has been instrumental in the establishment of Al-Furqan Mosque.
In 2007, he was on the International Advisory Committee for International Workshop on Renewable Energy for Sustainable Development in Africa, held at the University of Nigeria in Nsukka. 82 years down the line, Professor Ibrahim Umar has been laid to rest in Kano, leaving behind one wife, 4 children. Idris Jubrin, Trust TV News, Kano.
Now for a look at the foreign scene, where Liberia's President George Weah has told Parliament he will run for re-election this year after a first term marred with corruption allegations and an economic downturn. Weah took office in 2018 in the West African country's first peaceful change of power in 7 decades and is constitutionally eligible to run again in the October 10th polls. Liberia is still recovering from a military coup in 1980 and a 14-year civil war that ended in 2003. Weah, a former professional footballer who rose to fame from a slum in Monrovia, clinched a landslide runoff victory in the last general election in 2017 on the back of support from young people and the poor. The 56-year-old leader promised to end endemic corruption. His predecessor, Nobel Peace Prize winner Ellen Johnson Sirleaf, was widely accused of failing to address. And in sports, Manchester United have been rocked by the news that Christian Eriksen will be out of action for an extended period with an ankle injury. The Denmark international was forced from the field after being caught by a late challenge from Reading striker Andy Carroll during a 3-1 FA Cup win for the Red Devils over the Royals. Eriksen is now set to miss a number of important fixtures in the Premier League, Carabao Cup and Europa League as he nurses his way back to full health. Eriksen joined United as a free agent in the summer of 2022 and has registered 2 goals and 9 assists for the Red Devils through 31 appearances. And that wraps up Trust TV News Update for this hour. Don't forget, you can subscribe and follow us across all our social media platforms. I am Ibrahim Yusuf. Thanks for watching.